Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular council meeting of August 25th, 2026. I call the meeting to order at 5:33, and I would like to ask the clerk for the roll call, please.
Mayor Sidney.
Present.
Revimo.
Present. Councillor
Legree.
Present.
Councillor McWhorter. Councillor McDonald.
Present.
I will note that Councillor McDonald is joining us online. Councillor Sobalski.
Present.
Councillor Andrew Dick.
Present.
Mayor Sidney, we do have quorum.
Thank you. As we gather, we would like to acknowledge on behalf of council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all of the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Can I please have you stand for O Canada? Any declaration of interest? Councillor Sobalski.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney. Through you, I'm declaring on two items under Section K, Bylaws 2026-71, and also under line item N, the closed session. I'm declaring on both items.
Duly noted. Thank you. Councillor Legree.
Through you, Mayor Sidney, I'll be declaring on Section C, item C.2, just because I own land adjacent to the Dragonfly Golf Course. Thanks.
Duly noted. Thank you very much. No public meeting. Moving on to C.2. Delegation, Brian McLaughlin, future residential development at Dragonfly Golf Course, and a request for municipal service connections. I would like to invite Brian and your party up to the table, please. Just as a bit of a reminder, we have somebody online as well. Terry is online. Just a reminder, 10 minutes. Council, any clarifying questions you might have, make sure they're clarifying, and I will welcome you and turn it over to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for having us this evening. So Terry will start things off.
Good evening, everyone, Mayor, councillors, and thanks a lot for having us. As many of you know, I'm Terry McLaughlin. My son Brian was just speaking. He's in the room with you. And I apologize, I was not able to be there tonight. It took everything in me to not do something different, but I'm sorry, I'm in Latvia tonight on a business trip that was booked a long time ago, and it's the middle of the night here, but I'm certainly happy to be online, and I'll probably be going to bed shortly after this call. Just to be clear, we are McLaughlins, we are genetically connected to the area, but I've been a big part of this community and the Renfrew community my entire life. I was a military kid. We moved around a lot, but Renfrew was our summer constant as kids. We all gathered there, cousins, uncles, aunts, and everybody. And this is where our extended family live. I have wonderful memories, time spent there as a kid. And then most recently, again, as most of you probably know, our family purchasing Dragonfly from the Lanyons in 2007. We've continued to make improvements of the course each year. It's been a big sense of pride for us. The course is well regarded, continues to attract new golfers to Renfrew. To be clear, we do not intend on changing any of that. The golf stays, but we want to keep it every bit as good as it is today, or even thinking of golf for the future, maybe changing a few details. But now we're looking at investing further by building homes on a small part of that land, not condo towers, but a very thoughtful community for families. in a region, quite frankly, that already has a very healthy civic life. Our struggle is, and the reason we're here is water. Our wells are fine for the golf course, they always have been, but for homes we're limited in supplying what we would need for homes. And that being said, I'll just leave it with Brian, and he'll take you through his presentation and slides in more detail. And again, I truly, truly want to thank every one of you very, very much for this. Okay, so I'll turn it over to Brian.
Thank you, Terry. So my name is Brian McLaughlin. I'm Terry's son, and at the table with me I have David Pratt, former municipal councillor, federal MP, and former Minister of National Defence. And he'll say a few words later as well. We also have Lee Sheets from Novatech, who's the engineering firm that's been doing our servicing work, in case any more technical questions arise that are more technical in nature. So as Terry said, I mean, I'll just put the ask right up front. As Terry had said, we're looking for a responsible water solution for the project that we have in mind. Our ask is to have your permission for our team, and specifically our engineering team at Novatech, to sit down with the town's team to explore the feasibility of a water servicing agreement. The ask is simply around permission. The presentation was shared ahead of time, so I won't go through every detail, but I'll just take maybe 5 minutes and walk through the key points before I hand it back over. So Dragonfly has been around for 30 years, and our family has owned it for 20 years. We create jobs and bring outside money into the local economy as we draw a significant proportion of our golfers from outside of town. Golf is a seasonal sport, obviously, in this part of the world, and as Terry mentioned, the golf is not going anywhere. So developing homes on a small portion of that land would make Dragonfly's economic impact a year-round event. Next slide, please. As we know, that the land that Dragonfly sits on is in the township of Admiston Bromley. So the township is the approval authority, and our planning application will be filed there. It has not been filed yet, as this is a key matter. Nothing we're seeking from Renfrew's council tonight, or nothing that we're asking this evening, is to prejudge that process or ask council to take any position on the merits of that project. What we're hoping for is a council's green light for the Renfrew team to keep working with our group, our engineering group, on the feasibility of a bulk water servicing agreement. Next slide, please. So what are we actually proposing? It's about 40 new households per year over an 8 to 10 year period, arriving gradually to the Renfrew community and the broader community. So about 400 at the end of it. Statistics Canada puts the average household spending on goods and services outside of shelter and transportation at roughly $40,000 per year. So if you consider that and regional income profiles, the economic activity could land in a range of 11 to 17 million per year. What exact proportion of that is actually captured locally on Main Street versus distributed through the broader region is absolutely still an outstanding question to hone in that number. Next slide, please. So the key topic is water. How much water are we actually asking for? Our understanding is that there currently is significant capacity, and at full build-out, Dragonfly would represent about 6% of that total capacity. But as I said earlier, the build-out would be gradual over an 8 to 10 year period. So that's less than 1% a year. So there's no massive surge. It's a gradual increase over time. Next slide, please. So before I hand it over to David, I'll just reiterate the ask that we come with today, and that is for staff to collaborate with our team to explore the feasibility of a water servicing agreement. The conversations that would take place between your staff and our team and our engineers is what would tell us both whether this is an endeavor worth pursuing. Nothing is expected to be decided tonight, and everything of consequence would come back to this table before anything is agreed to or signed. Now I'll hand it over to David just to say a few words.
Thanks, Brian. Let me begin by thanking the council for hearing us today. As Brian mentioned, I'm a former municipal councillor. Spent 9 years on Ottawa and Nepean Council, and so I know the joys and challenges and also the frustrations from time to time of being a municipal councillor. I have known Terry for many, many years, and family as well. We worked together in the past, also on a number of different projects. I've been really impressed with the company and with the work that he's done. With this particular project, I think it's a very exciting one from the standpoint of taking an existing recreational facility and building it out with 400 potential homes over a 10-year period. I think the proposal is very sensitive to the environment as well, and I think it will add significantly to the economic base of the town of Renfrew, Adamston, Bromley, as well as the county of Renfrew in general. We're going through some pretty challenging times if you've been watching the news lately in terms of the trade issue, and one of the things that the Prime Minister has emphasized has been Canadians investing in Canada. And this is an opportunity to unlock some private investment in a very, very constructive way, one that meets housing needs, that will contribute to the quality of life in the community. And so, as Brian mentioned, it's a pretty modest ask, but I would really strongly recommend to the council that you have a good look at this proposal, because if you look at it the way that we've looked at it, I think there's some significant benefits for Renfrew and the surrounding area. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Councillor Anderdick?
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and through you, thank you, gentlemen, for the well laid out presentation and very interesting things. So I do have a couple questions. In all your research that you've done, like, do other municipalities in Ontario, is there shared water agreement somewhere around? If there are, do you have a couple examples?
Yeah, for the specific examples, with your permission, I would love to Lee maybe reference those, but yes, we've begun to review agreements, and there's significant precedents in the region.
Okay, that's good enough for me.
A broader region.
The next one is, obviously, I see some Admaston, like I see a councillor here, I see a staff here. So I'm assuming you have spoken with Admaston, you've spoken with some other facility, like government officials. So you're really doing your due diligence, and now we're at the point where you guys need water to move forward. Is that correct in that comment I just made?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I have two more questions, Mayor Sidney, if you don't mind. Thank you. So obviously, all of us have saw over the last week or two that the Ontario Government Billy to Know's Facebook page was just rampant with billions and billions of dollars for infrastructure, and like, it's crazy how much money they're trying to give away. Do you think this is an opportunity? I like the fact that Admaston's here. Like, is this an opportunity for Admaston, Renfrew, your organization, and possibly the county of Renfrew to combine our forces and go after some of that grant money? I have a former lad here, so he probably can answer that for me. Is that an opportunity for us?
Well, I do think it is an opportunity. Both the federal and provincial governments are interested in encouraging investments in infrastructure. I think we need some more details as far as eligibility criteria, that sort of thing. That's fairly easily done, and I think that the Dragonfly team can pull that information together for council. There may be some federal money involved as well, possible. We have touched base with Billy Deneau and with Cheryl Gallant as well. Cheryl's a former colleague of mine. I know her well, and I think they've been sensitized to the project. They're interested, but they're also interested in seeing how the municipality is going to deal with this, and whether or not they're going to move it forward.
Okay, thank you very much. My last question. So we have many developers come into this table exactly like you over the last 4 years of us being here, and they have all these big dreams and stuff. And then we approve whatever to go forward, and then literally nothing is done. So my question to you is, just say everything goes perfect, perfect, perfect for everybody, and you're green lighted to do this. When do shovels go on the ground? When is your potential, when do you want to put the first shovel on the ground to get this going? Do you have that date?
I don't think I could give a specific date today, just given that this is this conversations that we're asking for really are matters of consequence for the planning application and the process. However, our goals are to act fast and to work through this quickly. It's not a wait and see. We're engaged. We've been engaged for a period of time. We've done a lot of the heavy lifting on the planning side. So we're ready to go, and it's simply a function of just understanding the path forward with water and beyond.
Can I just add as well that based on my experience with Turlin and just generally with Terry, he's very systematic about how he approaches these things. And I think, in fairness, the ball is in the town of Renfrew's court at this point to study this issue, and it'll be a step-by-step process in terms of things like official plan amendments and that sort of thing. So I think that Terry will be responding very quickly. This is not something that's going to sit on a shelf, in my view. Terry, by his very nature, is action-oriented. I can tell you that.
And just a follow-up comment, and the only reason I say that is I just want to be sure moving forward, because council approves a lot of things to happen, and then we put our staff, well, we don't put our staff, they do their job, and they put hours and upon hours and weeks and months into certain things, and then all of a sudden nothing's done. So I just don't want to, you answered my question perfectly. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Sidney.
Any other questions? Review?
Thank you very much for this presentation. I'm in favor of us instructing staff to continue the conversations, because I think it's a worthwhile endeavor for the town of Renfrew to always examine service options with our neighbors. Just a really quick question: has there been any conversation about designating the Opeongo Road from the town limits out to your course as some kind of a development corridor? Because that's a lot of empty pipe that should be tapped into to generate revenue. Because it's about a kilometer, 1.1 kilometers from the border to your driveway, essentially, or just past that house where the corner is. So that's a lot of capacity, a lot of potential customers that are passed by. So I'm just curious about that, because that would then entail, I think part of the conversation should be looking at that corridor, as a series of half-acre lots or whatever, because it makes sense to maximize the land value along there. The other piece is, I note in here that you're interested or would be interested in talking about wastewater as well. Did I read that accurately?
Yes, absolutely. It's certainly part of the same conversation, and it can happen in parallel. Absolutely.
If I might, Your Worship, would that then add a greater density, or would you just tighten up the 400 units, because instead of half-acre lots or whatever, you could end up going with the quarter-acre lots if you had wastewater?
I think these are the things that we need to explore with your team, as well as the folks at Advis and Bromley. The planning process, the plan hasn't been submitted. There's still it's still a work in progress, and I think through these conversations and exploration, it helps us better understand matters that implicate the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I speak from here if I'm allowed now?
You'll need the microphone so you can be heard on.
My name's Lee Sheets. I'm with Novatech. I think the question was related to densities for private servicing versus municipal type servicing. The proposal for Dragonfly is to municipally service the site through a communal system privately owned. So the densities won't change. Right now, we're looking at a package plant from Nuterra, another membrane type reactor. So I think you assumed that they were going to be on individual septic or joint septics. It's going to be a communal wastewater system. Hope that helps.
My worry was that we'd get down the road and then all of a sudden the economy would force it to be 800 or 750 units, and then we'd have to start making some decisions based on your projections of use and stuff like that as well.
That's not the intent.
Any other questions? Councillor Sobalski.
Thank you, through you, Mayor, and a good chunk of the questions have kind of been asked, but to date, has there been some discussion with the town of Renfrew? I understand this is now the next step to get the next process properly rolling, but has there been any discussion with the town of Renfrew, pathwise, low-hanging fruit? Is this something that's easily achievable, or what kind of scale of work is this going to be to achieve just the water line at this point?
We've had some preliminary discussions with staff. We have some potential connection points that we feel will work, but we didn't think it was appropriate to continue to tax staff for time until we had an understanding from council as to what the position was. So I think that's only fair to staff.
Yeah, no, and I can appreciate that, and thank you for doing that. I just wanted to make sure that this conversation at least seems somewhat feasible, or attainable from our side already. You know, if there's been conversations, maybe I could ask the CAO for his opinion on where we're at today.
Good. Thank you. Through you, Mayor Sidney. So thank you. Yeah, we've had some preliminary conversations with Mr. Sheets, and I think they've been good conversations. We've talked primarily about the engineering feasibility of this, like how if you can technically do this from a water. And I would say, Mr. Sheets, I think it would be fair to say it's fairly high level at this point.
Yep.
We don't have an alignment necessarily. We don't have plan profile at this point, but just some preliminary exploration of capacities and different things. So I think there's some questions that need to be answered and some things that need to be explored. The engineering feasibility, of course, and Lee would agree, is only one piece of it. We have to look at the financial elements of it. We have to look at the legal elements of it, jurisdictional elements, beyond things like capacity and pipe size. There's a lot to be considered, and I know our friends here have done some research and have some agreements in hand, and so the mechanics behind how an agreement like that comes to be, I think we've got to look at that. We have to understand the scope of work, and council directs us to go and look into this further. We'd likely suggest initially coming back with a bit of a scope of work, if you will. What are we looking at? What are we to understand with an exercise like this, and then coming back and then having a sense of, okay, what's the partnership going to look like? What's the offset of costs with respect to obviously staff time with the town of Renfrew, but if there's any external costs and like any development, growth always pays for growth, right? So we need to understand those things and exactly how that's going to look. So I think that would be phase one of the exercise. We certainly, I don't think, would be coming the next time you see us on this topic. We wouldn't have necessarily a servicing agreement in hand. We're going to be going down this path of exploration at the pleasure of council. Thank you.
Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney.
Any other questions? I'm just going to jump in here. I like the idea of sitting at the table, for sure. But I do, as mayor of the town of Renfrew, I want to make sure that the town's protected, and, it's going to be beneficial for both. Because I do know my friends that are sitting in the background are going to love the tax part of it, but we don't get that. So I just want to make sure that the town is protected and we do it the right way. But definitely 100% support sitting at the table and seeing where this goes, because it could be something great. So with that, any more questions? No? Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time.
Mr. Mayor, just a quick question. How does council dispose of this item from a procedural standpoint? Do you deal with a motion, or?
So we would have to have a notice of motion, or somebody would have to suspend the rules to put a motion on the floor to pursue this. So that's an opportunity down the road. of tonight. Like, we have a notice of motion section where it could be brought up.
Right.
Or somebody could ask for a suspension of the rules in 2/3 of a vote. So, anything else? Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great presentation. You definitely did your homework. Wow. And sir, for staying up so late, we appreciate you being here, and have a good sleep.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, I truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and we are certainly pleased to present this quarterly report on Q2 to council and members of the public. We have been busy, as you would expect, delivering on the priorities of council and the corporate work plan in our efforts to make the strategic plan and make progress in that regard. So we're certainly pleased to bring this before you this evening. We are making good progress on the election, planning for the election. It's obviously, probably the hallmark project of 2026 in many ways, and there are a lot of arms and legs, a lot of bits and pieces to that project, and staff are hard at work to deliver an election that meets all the requirements of the Municipal Act and the Municipal Elections Act, and so we're certainly grateful for everyone's efforts in that regard. We've been hard at work as well on infrastructure, capital projects, and not just delivering projects for this year, but thinking ahead into 2027. We're looking in terms of, from an asset management perspective and project prioritization, what we should be bringing before the next term of council and the next mayor in terms of projects to consider for 2027. So we are hard at work in that regard as well. Q2 is kind of when community services starts getting ready for the summer, and when school is out, and we deliver a great deal of programming, summer camps. Obviously, the museum kicks into high gear. It's a busy summer season. Certainly grateful for the efforts of our Community Recreation Services team. We did welcome our new Director of Community and Recreation Services. Certainly a welcome addition to the team, and things are going fantastic. We want to just again extend our appreciation to all the other departments, fire, emergency services, finance, planning, building, environmental services, the library, everyone who works every day to deliver the services that the town of Renfrew expects and deserves. We've been busy, and probably a different look to our communications and our social media. How we roll out those communications this year. We did have a communications and tourism student, along with our communications coordinator, who delivered some great content, and I think provided just a different window into how the town of Renfrew functions and the different things we have going on from day to day. And so I found that to be a nice addition, actually. We do have some performance data. We are continuing with the trend and with the practice, a bit of a new look in measuring performance and being intentional about presenting those indicators in our corporate reporting. And so hopefully this is useful to council and the public in understanding not just what we do, but how what we do is trending from quarter to quarter and year over year, of course, to understand exactly the impact that the services that we deliver are having. I guess in summary, I'd like to just thank council for its continued leadership and support. I'd like to thank all staff, of course, for their ongoing dedication and service to their community. I'd like to extend a note of appreciation to all of our community partners, everyone that's engaged in making the town of Renfrew just the best place in the county to live. And again, we thank you very much for the opportunity to present this report, and we look forward to continuing the important work of the town on behalf of the town moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the CAO? Review.
Thank you. Page 15, the OP, it says the appeal period expires July 13th. So am I safe to assume that nobody has appealed it?
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, moving on to announcements, community events. I have a few. A reminder that the construction season and several roads in town are currently impacted by detours due to both county and town road work. We appreciate everybody's patience and understanding as this important work continues. For the latest information, the town provides bi-weekly construction updates on our website at renfrew.ca. You can also receive updates directly on your phone by signing up for the town's B-City app, which, by the way, is on my phone. It's fantastic because it's instant, so I highly recommend that. The Town of Renfrew and the Renfrew Public Library's Fall Program Guide is officially here. The guide is packed with upcoming events, programs, activities for September, October, November, with something for every age group. You can view the full program guide online at renfrew.ca and register for programs right from the website. If you prefer a hard copy, you can pick one up at the Town Hall, the Renfrew Public Library, or the MyFM Center. A big thank you to our staff for all the work that goes into planning, organizing, and putting together these guides, programs, events, and schedules. It's going to be a very busy and exciting fall in Renfrew with lots to see, do, and please get involved. It's a fantastic guide, and the programs that are being offered are just outstanding, so I highly recommend it. You look at that. And the clerk has advised me that following the close of nomination day for the upcoming election, the town is now subject to what is referred to as the Restricted Act period, or more commonly known as the lame duck period. For those who may not be familiar with these terms, the Restricted Act provisions under the Municipal Act place certain limits on council's decision-making powers during the period leading up to the municipal election. These restrictions are in place to make sure that the current council does not make certain major decisions that would commit or limit the next council. The clerk will provide an information report later in today's agenda outlining these restrictions and what they mean to council and the town. Also, another reminder that next Wednesday is back to school, so the school buses will be back on the road, so please pay attention to that. And with that, any other announcements? Hearing none. Thank you. Moving on. The Renfrew Town Council convene as Committee of the Whole to consider reports for recommendations to Council. Mover, please. Review, seconded by Councillor Legree. All in favor? We are now in Committee of the Whole. Moving on to E.1.1. That the Committee of the Whole recommends that Renfrew Town Council enter into a 5-year agreement with the new ownership of the Renfrew Junior Hockey League Club, Inc., with the option for them to extend a new agreement for an additional 5-year term, and further the appropriate bylaw be brought forward for adoption. Mover, please. Councillor Legree, second by Revimo, and I will now turn it over to Director Hamke.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Sidney. This report is brought forward to update an agreement that was in existence, and the previous ownership did choose to extend that agreement, but the new owners, they have come in with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of passion and a lot of ideas. And by the time we were making amendments, we determined it was easier to bring a whole new agreement forward. There's a summary in here of the key changes that we would see. So there would be additional advertising space added. Whether or not there would be increased revenue would depend on how those ad sales go. We're looking at the new agreement where it allows for increases on not just rental spaces, but also advertising. If I haven't mentioned yet, it's like a very mutually beneficial agreement. They've been very open to reciprocal conversations on what's beneficial for both parties. So that's something that wasn't captured in the previous agreement, but it is going to be captured in this one. There's going to be a temporary extension or a trial period of our AGCO permit, so that's our license to serve alcohol in the MyFM Center, to include a portion of the stands at the Delorier pad where they will be playing their Saturday night home games. And if that trial goes well, the town is satisfied, the Renfrew Recreation fundraising team is satisfied and the Wolves are satisfied, then we'll look at making that a more long-term, we'll permanently extend that so that there will be service at all Saturday night games. 2 more vending machines were added, which was a pretty small change. We increased the liability insurance. $5 million is more standard versus the $2 million that's been pretty standard for most agreements over the past 5 years and back. They asked for some access to the fitness center, and yeah, that's about it for the summary of changes. There's nothing out of the ordinary whenever you compare to what Arm Prior has had in the past, what the Pembroke organization has now. I'd say that we have. I would just say that it's fair whenever you do a comparison to some of these other agreements that we look at. We wanted to give the option to extend for 5 years again. But the one thing that gets assessed at that 5-year period is the fees. So this term of fees would not stay the same. A CPI at a minimum would be assessed. But we left it kind of open-ended in case there's any major market changes in, say, the value of our ice or our operating expenses, and we need to look at increasing that. And they can look at their markets as well. And we'll just, we hope to have a long, and mutually beneficial relationship with them, and it's off to a great start. But I'm willing to field any questions about the agreement that's on the table.
Correct. Any questions for you, Vimo?
Thank you. On page 2, item 3.1.2, I'm a little unclear what we're trying to say there. It says the town shall respond to the corporation/Wolves in writing with available dates and times when 10 business days of completion, within 10 business days of completion of the annual scheduling process. Available game dates and times will be discussed by both parties prior to the CCHL scheduling a meeting. So do we then meet with the CCHL, or, because it didn't seem to, number 3 or other areas didn't seem to indicate that there was a meeting. So I don't know if this was just a leftover or a word's missing, or I just was too tired last night and then again this morning when I read it.
Yeah, and through you, Mayor Sidney. To clarify, we wouldn't be meeting with the CCHL. The town would give the Wolves the available dates for their home games so that they can take that back to the CCHL, so it's considered whenever the league schedule is made.
Thank you.
Councillor Gray.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Sidney. First of all, I want to thank the director and staff for putting this together. The Renfrew Junior Wolves is a great organization, and we're lucky to have them. Just have a couple of quick questions. With regard to the AGCO permit, so that's our permit they are using. Do we have a dedicated staff to, and I'm sure they will, but just to make sure that everything's being followed, because I'd hate to see an infraction against us and then we lose the license. So I'm just wondering how we're going to follow up to make sure. I do have 2 questions. That's the first one.
Okay, and again, through you, Mayor Sidney. The license agreement that we have right now, currently only the Renfrew Recreation Fundraising Team operates the alcohol facility, so the Wolves would not be responsible for serving. They're just responsible for providing security and doing checks at the doors. So they're more there for the operational of like the things that come with having alcohol at an event, whereas the service would be with the Smart Serve certified volunteers that are through the fundraising committee.
Okay, perfect. And then one more question. So just reading, so it says a temporary extension of the town's AGCO permit has been completed. And I was in there today and I noticed like the drink machines and everything are already there. So I'm just kind of curious how this has already happened, but just is coming to council for approval. I don't get that piece of it.
Yeah, so not that this justifies anything, but the previous agreement, for example, you'll see it was a bylaw in 2023 that was retroactive to 2021. This agreement will be retroactive just a month. If council were to say we're not going ahead, then those 2 extra vending machines that they put in would have to come out, and that's the only change that's happened so far. They have cleared some advertising with us that they are having developed, so that would also be the only other thing that So above the player benches, there's additional advertising that's being sold there. So that would be the one other thing that's in motion for this agreement that we'd have to pull back on. And pulling back on the alcohol permit wouldn't be a very hard thing to do. There's not a lot that's been in motion for that. But again, all of these things are seen to be beneficial. The customer service representatives are getting feedback that actually at our winter user group meeting, there was feedback that people are appreciating the vending machines, especially whenever there's not a canteen that's regularly open. They hope to have more regular operating hours once this ice season gets going. But so far, the parts of this agreement that are in motion right now are working. But again, council does have the option to not accept the new agreement.
One more?
Yep.
Sorry, Mayor, just one more question. Okay. The only thing I didn't see in here, and it may sound kind of foolish, but it's the actual wolf's head. I know there's a lot of, with the previous owner, you're shaking your head, so I'm sure you already know, but there is because staff was trying to put it up and then they weren't, so I just don't know if you had discussed that or how that's going to be handled. So just so that it's clear, then it's not like it was before. Thanks.
Yeah, so that did come up in conversation. I remember writing it in my red pen on our paper comment whenever we were meeting, and it seemed like a smaller thing that we wouldn't include. It doesn't mean that we can't do a simple amendment that would say wolves are responsible for putting up their own wolf's head. There's something, this agreement's very helpful whenever things are falling apart. We need this, but so far the relationship, I'm very optimistic about how positive it will be, and that would be something that would be easy to navigate later if we had to, but at the same time, if it's preferred that we do an amendment, that would be an amendment that I know the Wolves would have no problem adding.
Thank you.
Hey. Councillor McDonald, did you have a question? I just don't want to forget you. Okay. Councillor Andrew Dick.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and through you. So I didn't really hear a part. Are we saying that the advertising portion of this contract, that wasn't in the previous contract?
Through you, Mayor. No, there was an advertising portion in the contract, but the extension wouldn't have allowed for any increase in the fees that the town receives from the Wolves selling their advertisements. So we would have been just receiving the rates that were accepted in 23 retroactive to 2021. So there was no kind of increase involved in the advertising space. So it just would have been the same rate for 10 years instead of having an opportunity to increase it.
Just a follow-up question, Mayor Sidney. Are we looking at, so the town is going to be paid for each advertising place. Are we at a 25% portion? Or is it 10% or is it 15? We just have numbers. So how much are they selling it for and what percentage are we getting of that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I do not know the numbers that they are charging, but whenever you compare to what other municipalities are receiving from their junior teams, it is in alignment or more competitive.
Any other questions? I just have a clarifying one. So with the opportunity potentially to have alcohol sold in the stands, so that is going to be run by the fundraising committee? The money's going back to the fundraising committee?
Yes, through you, Mayor. I think they're working on a 50-50 split, so they're working on their own separate operating plan, but I think what they've agreed to is Wolves will get a portion of the proceeds from that, and then the RRFC will get a portion of the proceeds that then go back to town capital items.
Okay. Perfect, thank you. Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you, Council. On to capital project update. That the Committee of the Whole received the capital project update August 2026 report as information. Mover, please. Councillor Legree, seconded by Reeve Emo, and I will turn it over to Treasurer Hodge.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. So this is a monthly information update, and the update lists the 2026 capital budget items, the item status, and item-specific notes. Operationally, a majority of the list is complete or ongoing, and the dollar figures associated with that will follow, and we'll be providing another update to the capital projects in September, at the September council meeting. And the chart is part of the report that lists all that, and there's some additional detail for some public works projects if there's any other details wanted that are also attached to the report.
Any questions from council? Councillor Degree?
Through you, Mayor Sidney, I'm not sure if Director Bishop wants to take this or Manager Shower, but just regarding Stevenson Crescent, so I actually drove down it yesterday. The report shows it's 100% complete, but I guess the curves or whatever going into the driveways do not look complete. I'm just wondering if I can get is that how they're staying? Is that...
Director Bishop?
Through you, Mayor. Sorry, did you say curbs?
Yeah, I did, but I probably have the wrong.
Okay.
The slope going into the driveway.
Okay.
Sorry.
I just wanted to clarify. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
So technically, everything that was within the contract is complete by the contractor. So right now we're in warranty review. The hydro seeding along the roadside is a big topic right now that we are ensuring the contractor is dealing with. So we are at the 60-day post hydro seed review point, and we have contacted the contractor in order to deal with that. Regarding the curb, that could be just part of the asphalt gutter, and I personally am not aware of that being a deficiency right now, but maybe Manager Shower can comment on that if he has anything to say.
Yeah, I don't really have any follow-up unless you have something more, site specific.
So anyway, like I said, I drove down yesterday. It's where residents go into their driveway. So they're going from our asphalt, there's a bump, they go into like gravel, and then up into their driveway. No?
I'll have to review site. I'm not aware of that exact condition, but we can definitely follow up.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We'll follow up. Thanks.
Any other questions? Councillor Sabowski.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Just a little bit more extended update. Stevenson Crescent, we did have a large extra there. Can you just give background how that went, how it finished out, what the solution was, if it all went to plan, please? And then I may have more questions, Mayor Sidney.
So, through you, Mayor, I believe you're probably talking about the scope change that we completed or went through approval last year. Overall, I believe the project went well. It seems to be holding up as expected. The change order at that time, I don't have the exact dollar amount in front of me, but I know it was substantial. We didn't, the changes that were required, we didn't end up needing all the approved budget. So although the project as a whole did come in slightly over budget, as you can kind of see on Appendix A, staff did do their best to kind of minimize any expenditures that may have came up due to the scope change.
Thank you. So, yeah, it came in over budget. Just the extra that was provided wasn't as it was priced more excessively than what was required, is kind of the conclusion there. Okay. Sorry, through you, Mayor Sidney. Can I just a little bit more of a update on 7th Street? It's we're into season 2 of that project, if I'm not mistaken. It's gone through winter. Can we get an understanding why it's sitting at 50%?
So 7th Street, sorry, through the Mayor, 7th Street was awarded last year. None of the works started on 7th until this summer. We did have a bit of delay in the project. Some of the information we had that the design was based off of was incorrect once we did some exploratory digs. Due to that, we kind of had to rejig the design slightly. There was a small change order to change some parts, but that process did cause a bit of a time delay. That being said, The project is well underway. This update was as of July 31st. Currently, the project sits, I would say, much closer to 80%. The contractor is wrapping up any water main works, and the only outstanding items are second lift paving and site restoration.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Again, could you maybe break down what an unexpected fine looks like for us when you're doing exploratory digs?
Yeah, so part of the process, I guess, during the design was that the designer takes the information the town has on existing, I'll say existing conditions or existing infrastructure, and sometimes uses that information for the design. So in this case in particular, I know the water main sizing that the town had on record was incorrect by a couple inches. The depth was also not accurate. This is kind of, I'll say it's somewhat of a standard that I'm aware of across municipalities with older infrastructure projects. The record keeping just wasn't what it is today. So with those two things, it just meant some of the materials that the contractor ordered would no longer be acceptable, so we just had to kind of replace them.
Okay, again, thank you. And through you, Mayor. Damn, we're getting better at this. We're getting better at record keeping, I hope. I assume we are. So the next time we'll be a little bit farther ahead, I hope. If you don't mind, there's only two left. If you just mind touching on how Monroe Harry's going, just a little bit more detail, any issues popping up, or just so we have it so we can get past this. And same thing with the miscellaneous roads.
Through you, Mayor. So Monroe Harry's underway. As you'll see in the Appendix C, we have noted that there has been a conflict with the schedule. Originally, the project was set to be completed this year. We've now committed to doing it over 2 years. Staff are still kind of working with the contractor and our consultant team to kind of sort all the specifics out on that. Overall, the project's going as expected. There's been some minor change orders, but nothing significant at this point. Kind of standard stuff for a project this size. Yeah, I guess the current update, again, this update is as of July 31st, but the current update where the project stands today is the contractor's continuing with the storm sewer installation. In the weeks coming forward, they're looking to start the water main and sanitary sewer installation, which will be on the opposite side of the road. So they're going to flip over kind of thing. And then once that's complete, in short, it's going to be paving, concrete works. This project, we do have a joint kind of agreement with the Renfrew County District School Board. They are getting some works done on their property for Central Public School. So I did outline that kind of in the comments. There's some cost sharing going on there. Their works is planned to be done before September, as part of it was the parking lot for Central, and it's required for the school to be operational. So that works should be done, I believe, by next week, or by this week, sorry. Yeah, other than that, there's kind of the standard stuff for a job this size. Again, some traffic disruptions, noise disruptions, but everything seems to be going smoothly. Miscellaneous roads has been going very well. The contractor, again, at the time of when this, as of July 31st, works had begun, but I'll say kind of minimal works were underway. We had it scheduled at 30%. They're much further along now. Paving has begun on a couple of the streets. They're looking at moving forward the next couple of weeks. They're looking at wrapping the project up. They're kind of working, as you guys may have seen, kind of all over town at the same time. So they have planned for the following weeks some asphalt milling, further paving, and then site restorations. overall, I think the project was a pretty big success. As you kind of talked about during budget deliberation last year, these were streets that were designed by staff. The project's being supervised by staff, and I feel like it's going relatively well. So I'd encourage you to take a drive around and have a look and see what you guys think. But is there any questions?
Just one last one and I'll be done. Thank you, Mayor Sidney. And it was just touched on. Just give me some context to how frequently the town of Renfrew employees are on site inspecting works that are being done. Can you give us some context? Then I'm done.
So the only projects, the only project that town, sorry, through you, Mayor, the only project that town staff are currently inspecting would be our miscellaneous road project. Because our intent was to do all those works in-house, you know, with the exception of the construction aspect. As for the Stevenson, 7th, Monroe, Harry, for all those we hire CA services via consultants. So on those projects, it's typically full-time inspection. That does become dependent on the need. Typically, as the project's near their end phase, they kind of require a little bit less inspection. So, you know, obviously, in an effort to be economical, we sometimes pull back the full-time inspection. You know, if it's you know, a task that's not as difficult. For the miscellaneous road projects, we had staff on site every day for the full day for the duration of the project. I mean, obviously there was maybe times when we would have to call them back for a meeting or something, but the general intent was to have someone there at all times.
Any other questions? Councillor Andredick.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and through you. And to follow up on Councillor Sobalski's comment about on-site supervision, I was actually leading that way and he just opened the door. So on 7th Street, in the quote that was provided by the contractor, I don't know the technical terms, but they dig out the road, they put gravel, then they put, I have wrote down crushed stones, like they put stones down. I've had quite a few residents reach out to me and state that there's been no stones put in the road. So that's my question. I'm not saying I don't know. I didn't go down. I have no idea. I'm not a construction guy. But when a resident asks me a question, I need to go back and answer them. So how do we know that the company or any other company, they put these line items in, how do we know that the crushed stone's going on the road? Like, how do we know? Sorry, I should be looking at Mayor Sidney, and I do apologize.
No problem.
Through you, Mayor. So I'm going to kind of answer in two ways. So for 7th Street, there was a minimal amount of gravel. So part of the scope of that project was to remove the asphalt. There was some gravel placement for grading purposes. The scope was to remove the asphalt, remove some of the existing granular material, build it up with some new granular material. The depth varied kind of based on the grading design, and then repave and offset, and then there's some water main works. The granular items are typically paid by the ton, and they're accompanied with a weigh slip. So, you know, the standard process is when the truck gets loaded with gravel, it goes over a scale, it gets weighed. When that truck comes to site, the inspector grabs the weigh slip. You know, when it comes time for payment, we add up those weights and pay them based on that. So we do have record of the material going down and the amount.
Perfect. Thank you. One more question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mayor Sidney, and through you, so the Monroe Harry project, it came to council for approval many months ago, and we were told that we had to make the decision that night because we needed to get to the construction company. I was adamant, I wasn't impressed that it was coming to us, and we needed to make the decision because they needed a decision the next day. And then a few weeks later, we got notified that it was going to be delayed. So my issue is, I'm not blaming staff. I'm assuming this came from outside sources. And I'm assuming the contractor was putting pressure on our staff to get the approval. So I just want a little more explanation on how that played out, because we were told that night like the decision had to be made. So I want some more clarification on that, because when we got notified, I wasn't impressed that we had to rush this decision and then all of a sudden we had to wait for the work to start. So just an explanation, and that's all I need, and we'll move on in life.
See you.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Sidney. So I'll just part one, part two. We've had some meetings about the schedule delays so that I can try to understand them. It sounds like external factors, things not necessarily within our control or that were known at the time of the decision. We are certainly working through scheduling with the contractor to get a firm commitment as to exactly when in 2027 Harry's going to be done. Obviously, we'd like it to be done stat, right? To your point, we made a decision, awarded the project. We expect the project to be done. So we're working through that process. There's a contract. We're going to be working through that contract and making sure that we understand our entitlements under that contract and making sure that the contractor is aware of those entitlements. Thank you.
Councillor Degree.
Through you, Mayor Sidney. I need to apologize to Director Bishop and Manager Shower. My notes, I was on quite a few streets yesterday. And they do know what they're talking about. It's me that does not. So for the viewing public, I want to apologize, because I was over by the hospital on Moore Street, and I understand what's going on over there. I don't have any questions. It was some reason I wrote down Stevenson and I made a mistake. So thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Revimo?
I've driven Maloney and I also went over Russell in the last little while. So it looks like, the guardrails, and when Russell is done, we won't have to go back in there and do any paving for 20 years, 30 years with the amount of traffic on it. And would that be safe, with Greg as well?
Through you, Mayor, I'm going to say that's our expectation. The plan is for these roads is that they would have at least a 20-year life cycle. That's not to say they may not require some sort of maintenance, sealers or additional servicing, something of that sorts. But to redo the asphalt surface, it's not expected to have. We're not expecting to have to go back anytime soon.
Thank you, and you brought up sealers. I had that on my list, of course. So will we have a regular schedule now with the roads that have been completed, but now with these new ones as well, just to make sure that we squeeze an extra year or two out of them?
Director Bishop?
Yep, through you, Mayor. So that's our intention, to put that as part of our operating budget over the next several years. Depending on what streets are done, we can apply these small treatments to them to extend their life.
Any other questions? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Council. On to Infrastructure and Public Works and Engineering. That the Committee of the Whole received the 2026 Annual Review of the Asset Management Plan Report as information. Mover, please. Councillor Degree, seconded by Councillor Sapolsky.
Oh, you're looking at E.
Oh, am I looking at the wrong one?
Yeah.
Oh, I went too far.
8.3.2.
Oh, sorry, went too far.
Did you call for a vote, by the way?
Yes. Yeah. My bad, I missed one. That the Committee of the Whole received the Water Wastewater Bill 60 municipally owned corporation feasibility report as information. Mover, please. Councillor Degree, seconded by Revimo, and I will turn it over to Director Hodge.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. This is a report for information. It's an update from earlier in the year. On February 10th, 2026, staff were directed to investigate further on Bill 60. In the meantime, there's been revisions through Bill 98 in the springtime and up into June. And so We've provided some information here on the different aspects of a wastewater utility. More recently, the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing asked for an expression of interest from municipalities for us to register for potential interest in implementing a water and wastewater public corporation model. The consultation was set to close on August 13th, 2026, but it's now been extended to December 11th, 2026. So the town has made a submission. The town's manager of environmental services did that, and we've expressed interest in receiving more information through that process. And I've listed here some of the questions that are listed on the expression of interest that municipalities may consider. A couple examples being, how does your proposal improve efficiency and generate economies of scale? And are you willing to merge your water and wastewater system into a public utility with surrounding systems? So these are the types of questions that will be answered later as we learn more about this. We have also, the Manager of Environmental Services has also reached out to the Office of Minister Flack and looked for insights into Bill 60, Bill 98, and legislation that may form the outcome of this. And once that is received back, we can share that with Council as well. Something else to consider in a decision like this would be whether the Council wants to get more input from residents and water account users in the town as this proceeds. And currently, the region of Peel is essentially the provincial pilot for this. So it's testing this new delivery model structure, and they're going to look at those results and see how that might affect other public utilities in the province. And from that, what we would expect is that because this is just a report for information, that this is not necessarily making any recommendation. It's just giving you an update as to where we're at in the process, and that as we get more information, we will bring that forward as well.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. Now moving on to the asset management. That the Committee of the Whole received the 2026 annual review of the asset management plan report as information. Mover? Councillor Legris, seconded by Councillor Andrew Dick, and I will turn it over to Director Bishop.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. So the town completed and adopted its asset management plan in June 2025 in accordance with Ontario Regulation 588-17. So Section 9 of this Ontario regulation requires municipalities to conduct an annual review of the progress of their AMP and report these results to Council. So the review will consider, and I will go over these points in more detail, the progress in implementing the AMP, factors affecting implementation, strategies for maintaining levels of service, managing assets and funding infrastructure, and any other significant changes since the plan was adopted. So the report just starts with a bit of an overview of our financial planning. So the 2025 asset management plan was based on the latest needs, projection, and budget forecast available. It was approved in 2025 and identified an annual capital investment requirement of $13,014,894. We've outlined our capital budget overview in the chart and attached as Appendix A the full list of capital projects for 2026. So in our asset management plan, there were projects identified and annual capital investment requirements and lots of other things identified for implementation. So progress in implementing the plan. We have continued to implement through annual budgeting, capital planning, asset condition assessments, life cycle planning, and ongoing improvements to asset data. So we are currently using asset management software, an ongoing review of asset inventories, condition information, and life cycle requirements. We have an asset management steering committee that works through these updated changes. And some of the projects I can just highlight that we've done since are O'Brien Road, Argyle Lochiel, Dominion Street, 8th Street, Mattaway Park Drive, Stevenson Crescent, 7th Street, the miscellaneous roads, and Monroe and Harry are ongoing. So for asset condition, we've also implemented our 2026 capital program called Street Scan through City Logics. And we've also been using CCTV investigation to identify if our underground infrastructure is in good shape or not, to further inform our budget process for our road rehabilitations. Regular inspection and documentation of asset condition will continue, and the future condition information will be incorporated into our next asset management plan, which is planned for 2030. Regarding levels of service, there have been no significant changes. We have a strategy to maintain current levels of service through long-term planning and selecting appropriate life cycle treatments for linear assets at the appropriate times. Impediments to progress include financial and economic conditions, infrastructure needs, ongoing improvements to asset data, and the town's capacity to deliver capital projects. So infrastructure needs, financial forecasts, growth assumptions, and community expectations continue to evolve, requiring the town to regularly review priorities and plan investments. Asset management depends on accurate and reliable information, so we are working on collecting that information as we go. The town must continue to balance infrastructure renewal, growth, and service level expectations while making informed, risk-based decisions that support long-term financial sustainability. So strategies to address any of these challenges include financial planning, risk-based decision-making, and operational efficiencies. And these are cross-departmental conversations that are continuously ongoing. The town also continues to pursue grant opportunities and identify opportunities for collaboration and shared services. Changes since adoption of the asset management plan last year. We've had changes to policies, some major projects that have been ongoing, asset information updates, and financial planning that influence future infrastructure needs and funding requirements. And as I mentioned before, these changes will be included in the next planned update for 2030. The town has also continued to improve its asset forecasting and replacement cost calculations through the use of a new asset management software. So our next steps include to continue with our asset management plan objectives and update asset information, financial forecasts, levels of service, and life cycle strategies. And then have our next full comprehensive asset management plan update in 2030. Thank you.
Any questions? Review?
So, Your Worship, through you, if I recall correctly, when we had the plan put before us by the gentleman, I can't remember his name now, but it was, he identified about a $53 million gap, funding gap. So if we were to project out from this year, where we're short about $3.5 million, or 3.8, that brings us out closer to 40 million. So are we closing that gap if we continue with this kind of a program?
Director Bishop?
Through you, Mayor. I may pass it over to Director Hodge. We had discussed kind of updates to our asset management plan and internally, so this update kind of provides what we've been up to for the past year, but regarding the changes to, Steve referred to it as the belly, the funding gap, we can provide that information as we go. As at the end of the year, we'd have that updated information for 2026 and so on, and we can loop that into an update for the next several years. But if Director Hodge has any comment on that right now, I'll pass that over to him.
Director
Hodge? I would say, looking at that asset management plan from July 2025, the current budgeting is not going to eliminate that gap, and it's a common challenge that's being faced by all municipalities in Ontario. This will all become more detailed in our upcoming budget processes for 2027 again, and so we highlight that and look at where we stand. But there would be potentially significant tax increases to close that gap that are illustrated in that asset management plan that we will review when we do budgeting, but that we may not yet have the full laid out strategy. But because this is a living document, we're working on it all the time, and we'll be continuing to, that's another reason why we're always monitoring all the upcoming grant announcements and assisting funding that we can find, because that's the kind of thing that will help us with the gap when we can leverage those kind of grants.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. Moving on. Update on the restricted acts. That the Committee of the Whole received the update on restricted acts provisions following nomination day report as information. Mover, please. Councillor Degree, seconded by Councillor Andrew Dick, and I will turn it over to Clerk Eric.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Sidney. So as Mayor Sidney had noted previously in the meeting, the town of Renfrew is now subject to the restricted acts that are listed under Section 275 of the Municipal Act. Basically, following the close of nomination day on August 21st at 2 p.m., it was noted that 3 current members of council have filed for the office of the mayor, and 4 current members of council have filed for the office of the councillor. I will note a small error in the report that was attached to the agenda. It was noted as 5. It is actually 4, right? 4 plus 3 equals 7. Apparently I didn't do that math, and I do apologize. So as part of that, as 3 members of council have filed for the position of mayor, only one will obtain that seat, one of the 6 that are filed for nomination could obtain that seat, but it would not be possible for all 6 members of council to comprise the next term of council. And it is required, so wait, I'm just going to get lost. Sorry, one sec. Pursuant to Section 275 of the Municipal Act, a council becomes subject to the Restricted Acts provisions following nomination day if it is determined that less than 3/4 of the member of the current council will be members of the council following the election. So that's where I go back to the number of 6. So just as a highlight and a reminder, as the provisions would include, appoint or remove any officer of the municipality, hire or dismiss any employee of the municipality, dispose of any real or personal property of the municipality having a value exceeding $50,000, or make any expenditures or incur any liabilities exceeding $50,000. I'll note that these restrictions apply only to new decisions requiring council's approval, and they do not apply to any items that have already been budgeted, previously authorized by council, or are existing contractual commitments and ongoing administration. And then I would say originally an information report was provided to council back in April in anticipation of the potential of this happening. Council had enacted bylaw 2642 that delegates the responsibility to the Chief Administrative Officer for certain duties during a restricted period. I'll also note that Mayor Sidney has issued a mayoral decision on Thursday, August the 20th, also delegating his authority that would be affected by the restricted acts. And then now, as again, formally, that council is now subject to the restricted act provisions and bylaw 2026-42 and the mayoral MDE are now in effect, and all authority is now exercised by the Chief Administrative Officer, who will continue to keep council updated on any decisions that are made.
Any questions? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. The Renfrew Town Council rise from committee of the whole. Mover, please. Councillor Degree, seconded by Grievimo. All in favor? We are now out of committee of the whole.
You missed one.
Oh, did I miss one? Oh, sorry about that. Oh, yes. My bad. We're still in committee of the whole. The Renfrew Town Council provide transitional budget direction in accordance with the operating budget base level scenario, providing a long-term budget outlook presentation on June 23rd, 2026, reflecting the forecasts provided through the 2026 budget process and the tapering to a target of approximately 3% in 2029 and following. And further, that the transitional budget guidance shall be non-binding on the future mayor and council, and is for the sole purpose of preliminary guidance to staff during draft budget preparation, and further that the guidance does not constitute a mayoral budget proposal or any other actions that would otherwise be restricted during the Restricted Acts period under the Municipal Act. Mover, please. Councillor Degree, seconded by Councillor Andrew Dick, and I will turn it over to the CAO.
My apologies for the delay. Yes, so we're bringing this back to council for formal, how did we word this? Preliminary 2027 budget guidance, if you will. Non-binding on the next term of council, of course, but something for staff as we are preparing for the 2027 budget to work based on. Council did receive a few scenarios on June 23rd for consideration, and at that time we indicated that we'd like council to kind of sit on it for a bit and think about it, and then we'd come back and we can field any questions, and then ultimately get some guidance to transition us over to the next term. Of course, once we get to the next term, we will ideally have a draft budget ready to go and a proposal ready to go for the then mayor to consider, and then we go from there. And we will see exactly where we go and how we go, but we need to start somewhere. We're suggesting that we start with the baseline scenario, which doesn't take us to 3% right away, but gets us there in the next few years. It also does not, as we discussed earlier, does not immediately close the asset management gap. The AMP full scenario resulted in almost a 55% increase in the levy next year to do that. So we're not recommending we do that. We're recommending that we take somewhat of a measured approach and consider the budgetary outlook that was provided in the 2026 budget process, and as it was explained in some scenarios, and what ultimately committee and the mayor and council decided to go with. So we're suggesting that we start with that, and then of course the next term of council and the next mayor can take it in whichever direction they would like. So certainly happy to field any questions. Thank you.
Councillor Degree.
Through you, Mayor Sidney, to CAO. So for 2027, where am I here? Sorry, 8.52, is that what they're, am I reading that correct? And then 28 would be 3.96.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you.
Follow up. So for me, 8.52 is pretty high to be starting out at 2027. I'd like to see that lower, but I'll hear what everybody else has to say first. Thanks.
Councillor Andrew Dick.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and I do agree with Councillor Legree, 8.5, but I think here's what I'm understanding. They're just doing a baseline. We have 6 people running for mayor. All 6 are going to have different platforms. Whoever gets voted in is going to come and sit in that chair, whoever that may be. The staff is going to present that budget. They're going to say, this is what we've done while you guys were out campaigning. What are your thoughts? And that mayor might look at him and say, yep, 8.5 is good, let's move on in life. Another candidate might say, nope, get it to 3%, figure it out. Am I correct on saying this is exactly what the staff is looking for?
That's exactly right.
Okay. Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing and seeing none. Oh, Councillor Spolsky?
Yeah, thank you. I don't want to get hung up on it too long because I understand it's a baseline, it's a projection. We're working off of existing numbers, but just for everyone else's context out there, like some of the numbers, where are they being pulled from? What kind of items other than just previous budget items are we being pulled from? Like, is there reports, is there studies, is there some of our asset management plan? Like, how are the numbers being presented in front of us tonight as the baseline? Again, I know we're not holding anyone to it, but where's it coming from?
Director Hodge?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. So when we look at the report from June 23rd, it gives some information on that. But essentially what it boils down to is the base level would be maintaining the services exactly the same as we have in 2026 right now. So whatever you see going on in the town, that gets kept intact that way. And the transfers that we would be planning to put into reserves to be used for capital and things like that would be maintained on the kind of the standard that we used for 2026 with a bit of CPI. The alternative was in that June 23rd report listed as a targeted rate, which would be a 3% increase to the levy. And that would also maintain the services in line with 2026 for all departments, but reduce the transfers to reserves, which would limit somewhat capital spending in 2027. And that's the starting point that we've laid out there.
Okay, you're good? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? I just want to note too that OPP costing is going up 11%. So that's out of our control.
We included that, right?
Yeah.
That's in this.
Yeah.
We assumed that would once again follow suit in the June 23rd information.
So any other questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The Renfrew Town Council rise from committee of the whole. Mover, please. Councillor Anderdick, second by Councillor Legree. All in favor? We are out of committee of the whole. There is a proclamation that I'm going to read. Whereas substance use disorders continue to affect the lives of individuals, families, and communities throughout the Ottawa Valley, and whereas many individuals and organizations work tirelessly to remove the barriers of stigma and discrimination, and whereas improved health and wellness are real, available, attainable, sustainable, and ongoing journeys within our community, and whereas together, through our personal stories and shared experiences, we demonstrate the positive outcomes that are possible, and whereas we choose to celebrate the many diverse pathways to recovery and increased wellness that enrich all of our lives, and whereas we, the people of Renfrew, say in unison, we support recovery in all its forms, now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Renfrew hereby proclaims September 18th, 2026 as Recovery Day in the Town of Renfrew. Mover, please. Councillor Anderdick, second by Councillor Legree. Any questions on this? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. Under correspondence, I think there's one we might want to discuss. Anyone you want to pull one out to talk about? CA Withers? You just won't do P. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure.
We're just going to, CA was going to just highlight H.6.
Sure, I'd be glad to. We did receive notification that OPP costs are increasing to a maximum of 11% again for 2027. This was indicated to us that this would likely be the case at Roma this year. We're obviously somewhat concerned at the continued trajectory at 11% year-over-year increases. We unfortunately don't have an indication at this time exactly when those increases will begin to taper. We are told they will taper, but have been given no firm dates as to when that will take place. We understand that their current contract is expiring within the next year or so, And so what that means is that there's going to be another round of negotiations, will potentially take some time, and when they do eventually come to an agreement, there's going to be a series probably of retro payments and increases in various things that may result in another round of levy increases. So definitely something that we are keeping an eye on, and that is on the radar from an advocacy perspective with the Solicitor General. Thank you.
Any comments on that? All right, moving on to confirmation of minutes. The Renfrew Town Council. Oh, sorry, Reeve.
Yes, I'm just wondering, I looked at the one about intimate partner violence and funding, and I was wondering if staff could talk to McCann House to see if there is a problem with the funding formula, recognizing that the experience in Mississauga may be different than ours in the funding formula. So it's just, if there is an issue, we hopefully we'll be able to address it with support.
We would need a motion for that.
Okay. I would make that motion then. The staff
Seconder?
consult with McCann House.
Councillor Andrew Dick. So you just want them to look and compare?
Just to see if there is an issue with I would almost guarantee there's an issue with the funding formula, but just to make sure we understand exactly what it is and have an informed motion.
I'm sorry, what? McAndrews? Okay, House? Sorry, through you, Mayor, I'm going to consider this a work in progress, but that Renfrew Town Council directs staff to initiate discussions with the Bernadette McCann House to identify current funding challenges and bring forward a report to council.
Right, and limitations of the current funding model. If yeah, just a report back and then we'll go with the motion off of it. Thank you.
Through you, Mayor Sidney, that Renfrew Town Council directs staff to initiate discussion with Bernadette McCann House to identify current funding challenges and limitations to the current funding model, and further that staff be directed to bring forward our council report for further discussion.
Moved by Remo, seconded by?
It was already.
Oh, sorry.
It was already seconded by
Okay.
Councillor Dick.
Any other question? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. Confirmation of minutes. That the Renfrew Town Council confirm the minutes of the regular meeting of Council dated August 11, 2026. Mover, please. Councillor Legree, seconded by Councillor Sobalski. Any discussion on minutes? Councillor Legree?
Yeah.
I'm going to take my name off. I wasn't at the last meeting. I cannot second those minutes.
Review more than? Seven. Okay. Councillor Legree?
Through you, Mayor, I was just going to say that Councillor Spolsky wasn't here.
Matters arising from the Committee of the Whole. The Renfrew Town Council adopt the final resolutions considered in Committee of the Whole on August 11, 2026. That Renfrew Town Council approved the request of public parking on Veterans Memorial Boulevard from September 10th to September 13th, 2026 during the Renfrew Fair. And two, the Renfrew Town Council approved the updated corporate branding and identity policy as presented, and further that the appropriate bylaw be brought forward for adoption. Mover, please. Review, seconded by Councillor Legree. Any discussions on these? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on to bylaws. I'm going to do these individually, as Councillor Sobalski did declare on 2026-71. That the bylaws listed on the agenda of August 25th, 2026 be read a first, second, and third time and passed. 2026-70, adopt a corporate identity and branding policy. Mover, please. Councillor Sobalski, second by Reeve Email. Any questions on this? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And I'll just read that again. That the bylaw listed on the agenda of August 25th, 2026 be read a first, second, and third time and passed. 2026-71, enter into a lease agreement with Q Cycle and Sports. Mover, please. Councillor Degree. Seconded by Reeve Emo. Any discussion? Discussion? Yeah. Okay. Councillor Andrew Dick.
I want to be clear again that this process was done within the terms
Absolutely.
that we do things. That Q Cycle and Sport was the only business that bid on it, and they put, correct me if I'm wrong, they put in the minimum bid that we asked for, and everything was done due diligently, it was done correctly, and it was done according to our bylaws. I just want to be crystal clear on that to the public, and
100%.
We can confirm that was done, correct, Mayor Sidney?
100%.
Perfect, that's all
And
I
I'll
needed
even
to...
confirm that Councillor Sobalski did all the appropriate declarations and
Yes.
all that stuff. So
Perfect.
It was all done by the book, transparent.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Motion of which notice previously given. Review letter of support for community living. And the motion is that Renfrew Town Council direct the mayor to write a letter to the province of Ontario Premier Ford and Minister Parza expressing frustration and disappointment that the settlement has not yet been reached regarding the community living dispute. Mover, please. Revimo, seconded by Councillor Sobalski. Any discussion?
Thank you, Your Worship, and I'm wondering if I could amend that motion. I made a bit of a mistake today, and then have some leniency to ask for suspension of the rules to talk about a second motion.
So you want to amend this one and
Yes.
then do a suspension?
Yes.
Okay, what's the amendment?
So the amendment would be, on behalf of the community and council, the mayor is directed to write a letter to Minister Parza and Premier Ford, explain the community's frustration with the prolonged labor dispute, 15 weeks and counting, between Community Living Renfrew County, Community Living Renfrew County Living South, there's an extra living in there, my apologies, and OPSU Local 472. The intent is a request they use their influence and authority to facilitate an immediate end to this dispute. The letter will not criticize or offer comment on either side in the dispute.
Just for the people watching at home, we're just trying to get this motion figured out.
Through you, Mayor, yes. On a procedural end, an amendment means the adding, the subtracting, or the replacement thereof words. So I'm just trying to make what Revimo has stated fit within the intent of the original motion. So, if I may, I would say that the amendment would be to replace basically everything after frustration, and disappointment that the settlement has not been reached regarding the community living dispute. So that whole section be replaced with the prolonged labor dispute, 15 weeks in county between Community Living Renfrew, County Living South, and OPSEU Local 472. The intent is a request they use their influence and authority to facilitate an immediate end to this dispute. And I'm going to suggest that the letter will not, the portion that says the letter will not criticize or offer a comment on either side of the dispute be removed.
Sure.
So again, so the wording will be to remove everything after frustration and add in the section I just stated. So I'm gonna clean this up for you in just a second.
Yeah, and just clarification from the read, did you want to put community in front of frustration? I think I heard you say that.
Yes, the community's frustration.
The community's frustration.
My apologies.
My system's just updating. Okay, here we go. So the amendment would be that Renfrew Town Council direct the mayor to write a letter to the province of Ontario, Premier Ford, and the Minister of Parsa, expressing frustration and disappointment that a settlement has not been reached regarding the community living dispute, to be amended to add the word community before frustration and replace and disappointment that a settlement has not been reached regarding the community living dispute with the prolonged labor dispute, 15 weeks in county between Community Living and Renfrew County Living South and OPSEU Local 472. The intent is a request they use their influence and authority to facilitate an immediate end to the dispute.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
So Reeve moves it. Seconder? Councillor Andrew Dick. Any further discussion?
Yes, if I might, Your Worship. Council is very aware of this. They've stayed on top of it, but just more so for the public is this is an opportunity to allow or to offer information to the Minister and the Premier about the damage this dispute is inflicting on the people who are supposed to be served. This is info they're not likely to receive from other jurisdictions or other parties. So as you're no doubt aware, this dispute started in May of 2026. The issues are well known as approximately 24 service deliverers, about 4,000 staff across Ontario became involved in the action. At present, 3 service deliverers have settled: Hamilton, Trent Hills, which is Peterborough area, and London. That leaves 21 service providers still in dispute, including this area. This is an unusual request, as Council often does not express a public interest in labor disputes. And what we're doing is not expressing support for either side in this dispute. And as you can appreciate, this client group is prone to negative effects on their development or health when routines vary. An extended absence of workers and long-term routine disruption is a major problem for them and their families. Many of the clients can have their routines varied to include some slight introduction of alternatives, but it needs to be introduced gradually or the change is followed up with increased supports. Labor disputes prevent this. And council does not possess any information about what triggered the dispute or what are the causes of dissatisfaction or the issues that have led to the dispute. We should not waste resources trying to pick a side. And you'll note that this is consistent with our road to 2035, where we talked about an age-friendly community and community health.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the letter? The amendment, sorry. Councillor McDonald? Okay, just you disappear in the darkness sometimes. All in favor, carried? All right, and then you had a...
Yes, I'd like to ask for a temporary suspension.
Wait, sorry, we got to go back up to the other.
Got it.
Got to call the vote. Mayor Sidney, can you please call the vote for the original, for the motion as amended now, please?
All in favor of the amendment? That's carried, thank you. Review?
Yes, thank you. And I'd like to call for a suspension of the rules to put this forward because it's consistent with the other, or is in lockstep with the other motion. That Council of the Town of Renfrew request our comms staff to video record 10 or 15 messages from clients or families associated with CLRCS, outlining the impact denial of services having upon these vulnerable members of our community. A note that the messages cannot disparage the board members, staff decisions or policy, and cannot offer comments about the minister, the premier, the provincial government, policy decisions, nor ministry staff.
I think, Clerk, you wanted to jump in here?
Okay, so through you, Mayor Sidney, just for clarification process, we need to suspend the rules. So if I'm correct, Revima would like to suspend the rules to lay that specific motion on the table. So we're not voting on the motion that he's just brought forward, we're voting on the suspension of the rules. We are 5 tonight, so we'll need a vote of 4 for that motion to, if that motion were to pass. And again, just as a reminder on the procedural end, it is 2/3 of a vote to have the suspension of the rules carried, and then if that were to be carried, then that opens the floor for Revimo to put that motion on the table.
So I will call for the vote of suspension of the rules. So.
To suspend the rules, that's correct, yes.
You second it? Okay. So we have a mover and a seconder. All in favor? Carried.
I'm sorry.
It's carried.
Okay.
No, review?
Thank you. Council of the Town of Renfrew will request our comm staff to video record 10 or 15 messages from clients or families associated with CLRCS, outlining the impact denial of services is having upon these vulnerable members of our community, and the messages cannot disparage the board members, staff decisions, or policy, and cannot offer comments about the minister, the premier, the provincial government, policy decisions, nor ministry staff.
Any discussion? Councillor Dick?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Sidney. So I just want to be clear on our staff. We've already approved our staff is going to write a letter to the minister. No problem. So I just want to be clear that these videos of the 10 to 15 families that Revima was requesting, we are not taking sides. We are just asking staff to do these videos to attach to the letter. Is that what we're looking at? I just need some more context on the videos and our staff time doing the videos.
Yes, okay, through you. The intent is purely to show the minister and the premier the consequences of allowing this to go on too long. And it's not meant as an opportunity for people to pick a side in this dispute. It's totally just to measure the damage and to send that information to them, because I'm not sure they get that on a regular basis. And it may be different in London, it might be different in Halliburton than it is here, but I think it's incumbent to record it and send it forward.
Okay, so just a follow-up comment then. I think, I see Councillor Legria has his hand up and I don't know what he's going to say, so I'm just going to say, I know that we have citizens that live in this town that are being affected on both sides. And I think as a town council, and we need to say something to protect everybody involved in this, the staff and the clients. So, yeah, I'm in favor of this, and I think it's worth doing. So, thank you.
Councillor Legray?
Through you, Mayor Sidney. So I feel for the staff and families. There's a lot of people have been impacted for a long time. That's why I voted in favor of sending a letter on behalf of the town. But I do feel that doing videos of staff and families involved is taking a side, in my opinion. And that it's out of the town's jurisdiction for me. We shouldn't be getting involved to that degree in labor disputes. Like I said, I'm okay with the letter to get them back talking and get a settlement to it. But I think this is going a little bit, one or two steps too far, so I can't support it. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Revimo?
I'm sorry, I probably wasn't clear, but we're only talking about clients. We're not talking about staff. We were measuring the impact of clients, not staff. Thank you.
Councillor Spalsky?
Yeah, I'm hearing this for the first time in all fairness, Revimo. I didn't get a chance to read your email earlier. I'm not comfortable right now as I hear it. I know there's a good need for it, but my question is the recipient of the video is going to watch it? I'm trying to think of our return here, and like, in your opinion, in your experience, are they going to sit down and watch these videos?
It likely wouldn't be who's directed to it, but it would be the person that, in my experience, it would be the person who holds the file. And they may ask about it, and we can talk to MPP to know and ask him to ask the minister if he's viewed it. We can do things like that as well. But it will be the person that holds the file in both offices.
Any other questions? Councillor Spalsky?
Yeah, I'll follow up just because of conversation at this point, and again, getting my head around it. If without guarantee of maybe it being guaranteed in the right hands, I'm skeptical of it. Like, if we were in an opportunity today that we could show and guarantee to the individual or a delegation like we've done, I'd be in more support. But just, I think a letter is good at this point, just because I'm not sure where these videos are going to end up to and what the end result of the videos would be for the individuals that did put them forward.
Revimo?
And to your point, I understand that we can't guarantee that the letter will get to the top of the food chain either. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor McDonald, do you have anything? I'm just going to jump in here. I totally, well, I don't understand because I'm not living it, but I totally feel for the families and the staff. It's been very long. It's been very hard on them. I just want to, when Councillor Legris said within the town's scope, the concerns I have is, how do you pick the 10 to 15 families? What if somebody wanted to do it that didn't get to do it? Is that really our role as a corporation, to play basically a reporter? I think there's potential for, I don't like the letter. I'm fine with the letter, but the whole process of time frame, staff workload, current staff workload, the editing and all of that stuff. So I don't know if it's the best use of town resources. I think the letter is good. You know, I think it would be impactful, the videos would be impactful if they did get watched. But who do you pick? How do you, and then, you know, what doesn't get done in the town because they're having to stop doing what they're supposed to be doing to do these videos. So I'm on the fence of, you know, being neutral and not taking a side, but, you know, somewhat of a picking 10 to 15 families to show the impact, kind of is picking a side. And, you know, we also have unions in the town of Renfrew corporately. So I don't think we should be getting involved in union stuff. So that's just my concern. Councillor Anderdick.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney. So I'm going to respectfully disagree with what you just said. These individuals that are being affected by this dispute between staff and management, these individuals are the town of Renfrew citizens, and they are being affected greatly. We are not picking sides. We are not picking staff sides. We're not picking management sides. We are picking our citizen side. And what Revimo has done with the letter, and now he wants to do the videos, that's whose side we're picking. We are picking the most vulnerable in our community, okay? Yes, town resources are going to be used, but that is what they're there for. The staff is there to work at the direction of council, and this is a direction of council. So if it's so voted on, right? I think, and I do agree with Councillor Sobalski, it's probably not going to make it up the food chain, but to that comment, I'd say probably everything we send never makes it to the top. It makes it to the people underneath them. I respect everybody's opinion on this. However, I think it's a great idea. I think we're showing the individuals that live in the town that are being affected by this dispute is that we're here for them, and we're doing the little bit that we can, because ultimately this is all we can do is send a letter and some videos. So just my 2 cents.
So maybe just to backtrack, I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying that, you know, how do we do the corporate piece and do the support piece and all that stuff? Maybe the thing that would be the part that I think is sticking with me is picking 10 to 15 people. I think it needs to be voluntarily. If we put something on social media that if a family wants to come forward and share their story, then we might have 50 people coming up, we might have 2. But my concern is, how do we pick? That's my concern. That's my concern. Review?
I agree with you. You know, it would be driven by their desire more than I don't feel qualified to go out and pick people and say, you know, who suffered worse than the other person. And then just to your other point, I think respectfully, we do advocate for any number of different causes on a regular basis, and I think this is just an extension of our advocacy, because, you know, I think we very carefully have put the guardrails in, and I think this method is unique enough. It may make it farther up the food chain because, you know, media will carry it. Nobody else has done anything like this that I'm aware of, so it may get some legs simply because it's new. Thank you.
I just have one thing. I don't know if we'd have to amend the bylaw, but again, taking into account staff's time as well, is it, you know, people voluntarily come forward to want to share their story, and then the communications coordinator can then pick timings and stuff like that? Like, what's the timeline on all this that you're looking at?
Through you, to you, I'm not suggesting it has to be done in the next 2 days.
Okay.
You know, it's a project that could take some time, you know, a week possibly, and a 2-minute video, probably only a minute would work, because 2 minutes for someone who isn't used to speaking is a long time. And so, you know, they can work that out very quickly. I don't want to dictate how it should be done, because that's not the right way to do it.
Okay. CEO, you had a question?
No, you asked.
Oh, okay. Councillor Gray?
Through you, Mayor Sidney. And I know we're going to get some comments from the residents, but I still look at it the same way I did. I get what everybody's saying. I feel for these. I drive up and down the main street. I see them. I couldn't imagine what they're going through with their families. But again, we are a municipality sending staff out to do videos, edit the videos, and send them in. That is one-sided in my mind. And we got to be very careful. There's other unions out there that's going to be in labor distribution, like over the next couple of years, whatever. And then how do we support them? And it just could turn into a snowball is what I'm nervous of. And again, I fully, and I'm going to get some slack on this, but I can't support it tonight just because it's just not the right thing for the municipality. So thank you.
I haven't been approached by the union. I wouldn't know a union member. No, but so yeah, and again, it's just a matter of advocating on behalf of the clients. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none. You good? All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Councillor McDonald, did you put your hand up for any of them? Opposed? Okay. That is defeated.
Thank you for having this discussion. As you know, I always push the envelope, and I'm glad to hear that we had a good conversation. Thank you.
Any notices of motion? Councillor Andrew Dick.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, and I'd ask that the Renfrew Town Council suspend rules of procedure to immediate consider a motion as it relates to the Mr. McLaughlin delegation, future residential development at Dragonfly Golf Course, and a request from Municipal Service Connection in relation to directing staff to bring forward a future staff report. I'm asking for suspension of the rules first. He'll have to.
There you go. Sorry, the vote was
2-4.
just to suspend the rules, but who
Oh.
moved it? No.
He moved it. Review a second.
Seconded it. Okay. To get
Councillor Gray, you had a question?
Through Mayor Sidney to Clerk Garrett. So I declared on this already. Do I have to declare again on this, or how does that work? Because I don't want to vote on this either.
through you, Mayor Sidney. I am not in the position to advise you with whether or not you should or can declare. However, if you felt it was appropriate and wish to declare, then you may do so. And
Yeah, no, I get that. So I have to redo, like, declare again then on this because it's a separate.
as this is something new added to the agenda, it would be appropriate if you were declaring, you would declare again at this
Then
time.
I'll be declaring, yes. Thanks.
Duly noted that Councillor Gray is declaring on this.
Five.
All in favor of suspending the rules? You can. Okay. Rules
Thank
are
you, Mayor
suspended.
Sidney. So the motion I'd like to bring, thank you to council for allowing this to come to the table tonight. So the motion I'd like to put forward tonight is that Renfrew Town Council direct staff to bring forward a scoping and terms of reference report for further council consideration and direction as it relates to policy consideration, feasibility watershed service, impact, and over viability of the extension of services and utility agreement between the town of Renfrew and Township of Admaston and Bromley to support housing development around Dragonfly Golf Links property, as presented in Mr. McLaughlin's delegation, and further to direct staff to communicate with Mr. McLaughlin's group, Township of Admaston and Bromley, the county and Renfrew, and any other organization or individuals required to develop this preliminary report. So that would be my motion, Mr. Mayor, and if I could speak on it when we're ready. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Hang on, I need a seconder.
Oh.
Review. Now it's on the table.
Thank you very much. So obviously we heard the proposal tonight, Mr. Mayor, of a potentially amazing opportunity, not just for Admaston and Bromley, but also for the town of Renfrew. As it was said in the report, I did take note, it's up to $40,000 per household income that's going to be spent in the town of Renfrew. I also want to mention that if the staff come back in favor of everything that's going to work out and this is going to happen, I think we need to look at the bigger picture, that where the water would come, I would assume it would come from the Mattaway area. So obviously the lines would come from Mattaway out through the bush and down Opeongo Road to Dragonfly. The opportunity for us as a town is to have a water line put in there at no cost to the town of Renfrew. This is where the opportunity arises, where we are in the negotiation, we are in the upper hand of a negotiation here, where we have the opportunity to, and I liked what CEO Weather said tonight about this group, is a partnership. This isn't a developer coming in and just wanting to build homes and make a lot of money. The vision is to build a community, and we have the opportunity to work with a great group of individuals and have a partnership with them. And I think this is just the first step. And like CEO Weather said earlier, the staff aren't coming back to the table and saying, let's do it. They're coming back and saying, yes, we can do it. We have the water. Or they're coming back and saying, no, we don't have the water to do this, and this is why. So I think the opportunity and growth is great for the town of Renfrew. I honestly believe this is a great idea, and I would hope council would side with this motion and allow our staff to work with this group and figure out if it can even be done. And then when they come back, the staff come back, it might not be till the new council's in, so we don't know. But I think this is a great opportunity for everybody involved, and hopefully you guys will support it tonight and allow the staff to talk to this group.
So I'm just going to, sorry, Councillor Sabowski, I just want clarification. I'm just going to paraphrase your motion a little bit. Is it a motion to get everybody at the table to talk?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I really think, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I think, you know, this needs to happen quick, and I'll tell you why this needs to happen quick. There's billions of dollars of funding from the Ontario government to build homes and infrastructure. We need a road out to Mattaway. The design's already done. It's done. The chief guest has been asking for this road for safety reasons. Council, I ran on it 4 years ago that I wanted to see a road built out there. I think we all want to see a road built out there because we all know it's needed. There's an opportunity for the town of Renfrew, the county of Renfrew, Admaston and Bromley to go to the Ontario government as a collab and say, this is what we are going to do as a team. We need money. And I think seeing that the group that was here tonight, I think this organization knows what they're doing. I think they have the resources to get to the people that our staff need to get to, Admaston, the county. We need all of us at the table, and we need to work together. First off, we have to see if we have enough water. That's our number one priority, ACO Weathers. Yeah. But yeah, we need everybody on the table, and we need to figure out if we can even do this.
Okay. All right. Councillor Spolsky.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney, through you, and Councillor Dick just followed up with something I was going to talk to. Obviously, opportunity for an external, like a second way into Mattaway my FM Center, the opportunity for us to potentially develop some of our own lands on the way through, if there's available lands, which I believe there is. So strategic planning on our side, a little bit more cost on our side, what the return on investment would be there. I had another one. I apologize. I lost my train of thought. It's the second time that's happened here. But there it is. The put a ceiling to the cost and time that we put into this on the first pass to this motion. We don't want to go too far into the weeds with all the environmental stuff on the first pass. We want to make sure that this is something that's attainable. We have a path, we kind of have a plan, and making sure where it's running, but not going to the depth where we put all the studies in, we put all the engineering in, and to find out that our hopes and dreams that maybe this won't happen. So I just want to make sure we put a ceiling to this as far as costs go.
I'm just not speaking for the CAO, but we met earlier today and discussed this. I have all the confidence in the world with our CAO and the direction he would like to go with this and the things that he talks about that we need to look into. So, yeah, it's a process, but it's I already know he's going to check every box. So, I agree with what you're saying, and for the record, I just want to say, Review and I've been trying to advocate for a road there for 12 years. So hopefully we can get that done. Any other questions or comment on this motion? Review?
I think it's the perfect example of what the future is going to hold for smaller municipalities. They'll have to embark in a series of partnerships to thrive and to attract housing and or some retail and maybe small industry. But you have to have homes for people to live in, and people that live around golf courses do not just sit and golf all day. Some of them actually have jobs and work away from it, and they enjoy being able to look out their window at the golf course and go maybe once a day or once a week, and so I think this is a good opportunity to mind the pun, but test the waters for a development like this, and I think as I had mentioned earlier, that road between Dragonfly and our boundary is a corridor that could also be developed. So I think there's more than this project that could benefit us over the future. I think I wrote a memo the first time in about 2015 about the second road, and then also about the need for or the possibility of developing the back lots on Opeongo Road to put some money in the coffers to fund some of the development. So I think it makes a lot of sense for us to take a strategic look at this while we are looking at helping Admiston Bromley and the developer develop what looks to be, first glance, a very viable project. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I'll just throw, if everything was to work out, I don't want to throw the word out because nobody likes the word, but we keep hearing the potential of amalgamation. So we would already be ahead of the game. So if that was to work out. Councilor McDonald, do you have a question? No? Okay. Any other questions or comments on this? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Andrew Dick.
Thank you, Council.
That Renfrew Town Council convene in closed session with Director Bishop, Town Clerk Eric, Director/Chief Guest, Director Treasurer Hodge, Director Lemke, Acting Director CBO Webster, CAO Withers, remaining in the room pursuant to the following sections of the Municipal Act 2001, Section 2392J, a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, or financial information that belongs to the municipality or local board and has monetary value or potential monetary value, or more specifically, how it relates to monthly tenant updates. Mover, please. Greavy, second by Councilor Degree. All in favor? We are now enclosed. Thank you for the staff that don't have to stay. Welcome back, everybody. We are now out of closed, and I just have a statement here. Council received information regarding monthly tenant matters in closed session under Section 2392 of the Municipal Act. There was no direction to staff and no reportable actions. So that's just that. Moving on to the... Oh, and just duly noted that because Councillor Sobalski did declare a conflict at the beginning, he actually removed himself from the closed meeting, so he's not here. Moving on to the confirmatory bylaw. The Renfrew Town Council adopt the confirmatory bylaw 2026-72 and that it be read first, second, and third time and finally passed. Mover, please. Councillor Legree, second by Rivimo. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. Upcoming meeting of Council, September 8th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. And we are now officially adjourned at 8:01. Thank you, Council.